All right, welcome to the Jim Acosta Show, TGIF. I can't believe we made it. We should note the MAGA shutdown is grinding on. Trump and his top aides are now hoping to inflict pain on enough federal workers to make Democrats vote with Republicans to end the shutdown. We'll start there and talk about that. My big guest this hour is former Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger, of course, on Substack and everywhere else. Adam, great to see you.
You too. And by the way, I was already talking to Jim. This thing looks all distorted, so I'm not really this distorted in real life. I don't know what's going on, but great to be with you, my friend.
You are that jacked. I just want to point out to our viewers at home. This is no longer, a weakling, skinny guy, Adam Kinzinger. He's now.
That's right. That's right. I got to be an alpha. I got to be like all the other alpha males, man. I got to compete. That's all they care about.
It's like that. You're like a Hassan Piker now, or something. I don't know. I've seen that guy, but. All right. Well, we can do some tomfoolery, but I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on. And I guess, first of all, you've been through some government shutdowns, I'm assuming, as a congressman. I mean, you've been there, done that. This one is different, and it's getting ugly fast. I guess Russ Vought is saying today over at OMB, the RIFs, the reductions in workforce, have begun, which is their bureau speak way of saying that they're going to start firing federal workers. Your reaction to that, what do you think?
Well, I think first off, the Democrats' message on that needs to be like, look, we obviously don't want you to do that. This is your government. If you're going to sabotage your government, I think the American people know, because they've been through enough of these, that like firing people is not a requirement, right? And so look, I always knew the Democrats would go in this with the advantage because they don't control government. I thought they had done a terrible job, and I still hold that, in terms of leading up to it, like setting the table, setting the expectation. But I think right now I would put them in the lead, if you will, given the edge. This feels like this too, Jim. Like, this feels kind of like the lowest drama shutdown, and I think it's starting to get more dramatic. But it's like here in Texas, like, it doesn't feel like the government's closed. It just kind of, everybody's going about their life. But when people start missing paychecks, and Congress is still getting paid, by the way.
Yeah.
That might bring some of the strength. But I think the Democrats are doing the right thing. Hold out.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I think they have no choice here but to drive a hard bargain. And what you hear internally, I suppose, maybe you're hearing this too, and we can observe this from the outside and see news reports and so on. It sounds as though the Republicans are nervous about this. I mean, when Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there saying she's worried about these Obamacare premiums going up, I just don't. Maybe an asteroid hit the Earth and knocked us off our axis. I'm not sure why she's making sense to me, but it sounds as though there are some cracks.
Yeah,
in that base right now.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's a smart politician. She knows that this gets people like us saying, "Gosh, what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene?" Let's keep in mind, this is still Jewish space laser lady. This is still the one, right? And she's knows
pointing those lasers at her party a little bit.
Yeah, she just knows this is solid ground to fight on. And I'm glad she's doing that. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, the fact that, again, by the way, the speaker canceled session this coming week. I mean, I got to tell you, the only reason I wish I was in Congress right now is to get like extra 3 weeks off. That would be great, paid. So yeah, I mean, I think that pressure is coming down. The president has kind of left open the possibility of this. And I think when the pressure comes tight, they're all going to look and say, why don't we just expand the tax credits? Because we're probably going to end up doing it anyway. But the point is, and I think the Democrats need to keep making this, because they always say, let's just reopen government and negotiate. Like, they should say, we've been trying to negotiate since day one. You have no interest in it. And so, look, you wanted full control of government. You have it. If you need our help, I mean, I guess we're happy to help. But you should be able to do this on your own. But if you need our help, it's a little bit of a cost. That's just how the Constitution works.
Yeah, I mean, I've been calling it a MAGA shutdown. I mean, the Republicans control the White House, the Senate. I mean, the way they've been trying to blame Democrats. I guess Kristi Noem put out a video blaming Democrats for this, and we can play this for the viewers. If we want, let's go ahead and play it. Just
all right.
It might be a little stomach churning, but we'll play it if we have it. Maybe we have it. Maybe we don't have it. Kristi Noem video might not be playing. Okay, we'll hold off on that.
Well,
Uh,
look,
yeah.
with Christine Nome, I just have to say
I was going to
this.
say, what are your thoughts on Christy Nome? Because she's
Well,
been kind of all over the place.
I was elected with her. We were both class 2010. When she came in, it was like her, me, Sean Duffy, and one or two others that were kind of like the higher profile freshmen coming in. Me, because I was young, I was a veteran. She came in because she was fairly young, obviously attractive, and kind of a good story. Well, she came in and was doing some national TV, and I remember she and her husband made a decision to stop doing national TV because she thought, in the comments that she was being objectified. How 180 degrees that has changed, and now
Yeah.
she's turned into, they call her Ice Barbie for a reason. The thing, Jim, that really gets me even more than her policy
Yeah.
is this: like, you can look and say, fine, we need to deport people and control our borders, but when you go and you start proverbially beating up somebody that is so down on their luck.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are so desperate to provide for their family that they're willing to cross a very dangerous border. They're willing to work for peanuts because they're that desperate. And instead of us deporting them with kind of a humble heart and saying, look, we're lucky because we won the Born in America lottery. Here's the legal way to do it. Instead, we're like, just so mean, so cruel,
They're dunking
so
on them. It's
it's
just,
unbelievable.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I use the example, I put this on my Instagram or Substack. I'm like, it would be like if I went out and just beat up a homeless guy.
Right.
Like, what would you guys think of me? You'd think I was a piece of human garbage. Well, that's
Well,
what we're
yeah,
doing.
it is. And we've been showing some of these lowlights for about a week now, just showing these various videos. There was a video the other day we were showing of a lady picking up her kid at school in Chicago. There was tear gas in a neighborhood last week. I mean, it's just been one thing after another, just horrific stuff. And it just
And
makes you,
shooting a lady in
yeah,
Chicago. Now, look, do I know all the
yeah,
circumstances? No, but I do know that initially they tried to spin this as she rammed her car in them. I don't know the answer to that. But then they said
yeah,
she was armed. Well, Jim, she was armed. She was legally armed with a concealed carry permit and a legal weapon. I thought these folks were all about concealed carry in the
there you
Second
go.
Amendment. You can't turn around then and say she had a gun on her. And by the way, she didn't pull that gun, it was just in her car.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and just today, there was a reporter for WGN TV in Chicago. She was detained by
Yeah.
ICE, tackled and brought to the ground. And it's just been one thing after another. And the thing I have to ask you about, Adam, because your military background, what do you make of Trump sending in the National Guard into states against the wishes of a governor like J.B. Pritzker? I mean, there used to be a time when Republicans would talk about, conservatives would talk about states' rights.
Right.
Don't tread on me. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of treading right now.
You know what else Republicans used to believe among the 8,000 other things they flipped on? Remember when we used to believe in cutting out frivolous lawsuits? And now, like, the currency of the GOP is to threaten or do lawsuits. It's really unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, with the guard, it's look, and I think this is an important point. So if the National Guard is federalized, and it is federalized when the governor doesn't give consent. So like the Texas Guard is federalized. They are not right now the National Guard. If you would look at their
Yeah.
orders and status, they are United States Army. They have been what's called chopped. It means change of operational possession. They have been chopped to the federal army. So I know we call them guard soldiers, but in reality, they're the 82nd Airborne. And
Mm.
the idea of the 82nd Airborne on the streets of Chicago against the wishes of the governor, and by the way, they are from Texas. There's something really creepy about that. It would be
Yep.
different if they were like Indiana. I think it's a huge violation of the Constitution. And unless Trump declares the Insurrection Act, and then he's going to have to prove insurrection. But look,
Yeah.
this is chilling. It's meant to get us kind of numb to this going on. But honestly, Jim, I kind of, this is a brand new thought in the last day. I kind of think they went too far too fast. I'm hoping. Um, this
Because
if
of the
they don't,
backlash.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Between the brutality of ICE, it kind of feels like most Americans are like, this is getting a much, I think.
Yeah, and they're getting mocked left and right. I mean, since it's a Friday, I thought lighten things up a little bit. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, put out a video on this. We tried to play another video earlier, didn't work, but let's try the Pritzker one just because I think you'll appreciate it. There's some humor involved here. Let's see.
Pritzker reporting from war-torn Chicago. As you can see, there's utter mayhem and chaos on the ground. It's quite disturbing. The Milwaukee Brewers have come in to attack our Chicago Cubs. We've seen people being forced to eat hot dogs with ketchup on them. And our deep dish pizza, well, has gone shallow. So it's a challenge to survive here in the city of Chicago, but there's no hellscape that I'd rather be.
It's a hellscape,
Horrifying.
Adam.
Horrifying. Yeah. Look, I've actually been in conversation with J.B. Pritzker on some of this stuff, and it goes to show you how much the world has changed. I mean, J.B. Pritzker drew me out of my congressional district, right?
Oh, wow. Okay, so maybe that's a sore subject. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, was scared I was going to run against him for governor, and quite honestly, until January 6th, I was. But now I would consider him a friend because we are allies in democracy. And I think he's handling this, as well as can be expected. But this is ultimately it's going to have to go to the courts. And I hope the courts do the right thing.
Yeah, that's big of you, Adam. I mean, I think that is, you don't hear that a lot from politicians. If you're once adversaries, being able to have a common cause like that, I think that's admirable. But one thing that may not be admirable or well advised is, I think, Pete Hegseth, the self-described Secretary of War, even though legally that's not the name of the Defense Department or his title. He announced today that I have to read this just because I want to make sure I get this correct here. I don't know how this could be, so I'm just going to say it. He announced earlier today that there will be a Qatari Air Force facility built at a U.S. Air Force base in Idaho. I saw this, and it just, I thought that the speech to the generals was weird when he was talking about fat generals and stuff. This might be weirder.
This is weirder. Yeah. And let's revisit the history here. Qatar gave Trump a free jet.
Yeah.
By the way, a free jet that the taxpayers are going to pay to turn into Air Force One probably will not be done in time. And by the way, Donald Trump gets to take that with him. And it belongs to his museum. Now, some people think that it's going to hang in the museum like Reagan. No, he flies it. He can fly that as part of the museum. So now what happens? This, plus a whole bunch of other deals with Qatar. The Republicans also used to not like the idea of foreign militaries being stationed here. Yeah. This may be the very first foreign military facility. We've had foreign military, like in training.
Training, sure.
This may be the first facility.
It's weird.
Yeah. And among the first time if it is foreign troops, that it's not like NATO or something like that.
And why would they need that? I don't understand it.
I don't know. It's goofy. And I think
this will make good for the Israeli thing. I don't know.
It points to corruption. And quickly I'll say, Hegseth, we know something as military guys. When you have a commander that comes in and he starts to obsess about where you wear your patches or whether you're shaving perfectly or your uniform, those are usually really bad commanders because they know they're bad, so they focus on the things they can control.
Right.
That's Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you. We haven't spoken since he gave that speech to the generals where he talked about the fat generals. We don't want fat generals and so on. But and I'm only going to mention this because you have been at the gym, it seems, as of late. And I seem to recall Pete Hegseth not being able to do a pull-up or a chin-up. So I just thought, listen, I work out a little bit here and there. I run. I'm more of a runner than a gym guy. But I wouldn't be talking shit about fat generals if I had trouble doing chin-ups. That's just me.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it just goes to show this dude, he really is just for show. He's an entertainer, and that's what he's doing here. And, look, I've talked to some of my friends that are MAGA that are in the military, and they think he's a joke. So, yeah, I don't think he garners a lot of respect right now.
Yeah. And the other thing we should talk about, because this goes back to the discussion on democracy, and it's more of a serious subject. It's obviously a serious subject. This indictment of Letitia James, right on the heels of this arraignment of Jim Comey. According to ABC News, they reported this earlier today. Apparently, Pam Bondi was caught by surprise by the news of the indictment of Letitia James, the New York State Attorney General, So, I mean, it's pretty clear now that Pam Bondi is not really the attorney general, it seems to me, and that this is just being dictated by Trump and maybe Stephen Miller or something like that. They're just telling Lindsey Halligan, this unqualified U.S. attorney, that they picked to run his, political prosecutions in Virginia. They're just running this as like kind of a side deal out of the White House.
She's legitimately as experienced as about you and I are,
Right.
except she has a law degree.
Yeah.
Look, it's confusing. The whole not alerting Bondi thing is confusing to
That's
me.
wild.
Yeah. But like, here's the deal. The fact that Donald Trump, and this is the thing people need to remember, it's Wall Street Journal just reported that when he sent that tweet to Pam Bondi and he's like, you need to go after X, Y, and Z, that he actually meant that as a direct message to her. And because if you notice, that was posted and then he deleted it later. Maybe that's a God thing that he did that, because I think that is going to be, evidence A in any case against these people. I wouldn't be surprised if these cases get thrown out, particularly with Comey, because Donald Trump said, you need to go after my enemy, Jim Comey. A new lady comes in, immediately indicts him. I think a court's going to look at that and go, that is vengeful prosecution, which is unconstitutional. And I just learned this. It doesn't matter how strong the case is. If they can prove vengeful prosecution, it's thrown out.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't expect any of these cases to go to a trial to the point where you'll have a jury say guilty. I mean, I just don't, that would just be shocking to me if that were to happen that way. And, you bring up an interesting point. The fact that Donald Trump can't figure out the difference between a DM, a private message, and putting something on Truth Social. I'm kind of wondering what you think lately, Adam, of just his state of mind and what we've been hearing and seeing from him. I mean, there's something goofy going on. It's not looking good.
Yep. And by
He's
the
looking
way,
old.
he signed his DM President DJT, and he called him Adam Shifty Shift. So this is how he talks to people. It's weird. Look, I mean, there's two things going on. I do think there's serious mental decline, obviously physical decline. We can see that. And then Donald Trump is surrounded by sycophants. I mean, for as bad as his first term was, you can still look at it and say there were guardrails in place. There were people that were kind of keeping him within the highway of legality. And now there's not. And so it's the emperor with no clothes, right? He's basically walking out there naked. Nobody's saying anything. And, I think, look, I think there are some real physical things going on with him. And the fact that, a couple weeks ago he said, I need to get to heaven, I'm not doing too well, shows that there's something on his mind. And it's going fast. Here's the scary thing though, Jim, is I think if it would have, like if Biden would have, had his decline, but also, paired it with some of the things that Trump is saying, I do think at some point the 25th Amendment would have been invoked. I don't think there's a soul in the world that will invoke the 25th Amendment until his heart stops, because they just, they're too cowardly. So you could ultimately end up with a legitimately insane president, which was a frightening thought.
And who knows? We might be somewhere in that ballpark already right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he obsesses over the Nobel Peace Prize, I noticed you had some thoughts on that. I mean, I don't know, for getting back to his mental decline and what is going on with his cognitive stuff, he keeps talking about solving 7 wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder, did he see 7 brides for 7 brothers too many times? And he's just got the number 7 in his head. I don't know what it is, but it's just weird the way he's fixated on this and why he would think he would get the Nobel Peace Prize at this point. I mean, if the Hamas thing works out and the hostages are released, and, I suppose they could make a case beginning there. But I don't know where 7 wars comes from.
I don't either. And you could make a case, and then you compare that to the fact that we're bombing boats, right, without an authorization of the use of military force. We are, he's basically invoking a war within the country, speaking like that. So yeah, and his 7 are made up. He's probably had an impact in 1 or 2 of those, but like even India wasn't even going to play the game and say like, yeah, you solved the India-Pakistan thing. No, that was solved by the fact that neither side wanted to nuke each other, and that was kind of the path they were on. And that's why, in fact, Jim, we believe that's why he ended up adding the 25% tariff to India. He claimed it was because they were still buying Russian oil, even though he hasn't actually gone after Russia. But it was actually because India said, no, we're not nominating you for the Nobel Peace Prize. Honestly, Jim, if somebody called me, if they'd have called me this morning and said, Adam, you got the Nobel Peace Prize, I'd have been like, all right, cool, I guess. Like, that's why he's obsessed about it. I don't know.
It's so strange. And I kudos to the Venezuelan opposition leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, she's actually doing the kind of work that you would expect from a Nobel Peace Prize recipient opposing Maduro in Venezuela. That's the kind of, I mean, just earth to Trump. That's why Nobel Peace Prizes are handed out, for truly heroic things like that.
And by the way, they also, I think, typically get people that are pretty humble about what they've done.
Yes.
You know, not campaigning for it, right? You go out and campaign for it, I'm sure the committee is going to be like, well, no. If he's going to try to, no.
It's true.
Like, crazy.
I know. It's sort of like the Academy Awards. You know, there's an art to it. You know, you want to be considered, but you don't want to go over the top and overdo it. But what do I know? I haven't won a lot of awards. It might be a surprise to a lot of people, but nominated, but not too many awards. But Adam, great to see you, man. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Yeah,
thank you.
Too. Bye,
Let's do it again soon. Bye-bye. All right. Hang tough. All right. You notice my biceps are way down here during the interview. They're nowhere near up here because it wouldn't be a good idea when Adam Kinzinger's on. Let's try to keep the good times rolling here a little bit. I know it's been a tough week, a lot of serious stuff to talk about, but I want to bring in Tommy Christopher from Mediaite because Tommy, or Tom Christopher, if you will.
I panicked. So the thing, I was trying to set the thing up, and I was like, because they kept asking me to like permission to use my camera and shit. Like, yeah, why do you think I'm here? So I didn't have time to write Tommy. I thought I'd save a little time.
In this very litigious world, we cannot be too safe these days. But I like is that like a Rastafari rebel logo there? Is that what that is?
No, this is a Pride Rebel logo.
Oh, Pride of Rebel. Okay, I like it. I like it. Very well done. Well done.
We're a Pride family.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I was kind of doing this a little bit with Adam. There's a lot of serious shit happening right now. There's no question about it. I don't want to take anything away from that. But I do like the way that J.B. Pritzker is having some fun with the situation in Illinois. And he put out the video with the flak jacket on and everything. Oh, Tommy, are you there?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. You're there. Okay. I think the video might have frozen. There we go. Okay. You're good now. You're good now. All right. But there's also, and I'm sure you've seen this, Tommy, these protesters in Portland dressed up in the funny costumes, sort of mocking the idea that Portland's a war zone. Let's show a little video of that.
We're outside the ICE facility in the evening on.
I love this stuff. I don't know about you. It's been very disturbing. We've shown the disturbing videos, but I thought, I mean, some of this shit needs to be mocked.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you know, the protests really can capture the imagination. You know, one of my favorite forms of well, you know, when you went and talked to those people at the Epstein statue, you know, this is great stuff because it captures people's attention, and you know, there's a lot of bang for the buck. Let's just say, you know, you got a frog costume on, and you get a lot of attention.
And it kind of, I mean, it points out how totally ridiculous it is. I mean, Kristi Noem was out there posing in front of the cameras. I think she just landed long enough in Portland to pose in front of the cameras. And then I guess just in the last 24 hours, they had her film a video blaming Democrats for the shutdown. We can show a little bit of that and see it.
It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and
she did one of these TSA videos that you see at the airport. I'm like, don't you have other stuff to do? Like,
no, I know.
And because of this,
what are your thoughts on how all of this has been going down, man? I mean,
yeah, well,
I always appreciate your insights.
I got to say, and I hate to be like that, you know, that everything looks like a nail, but the thing that's driving me the craziest about this is the media, the way the media. I don't know how long ago it was. It was like a week or 2 weeks ago where Trump was tweeting about how he's watching Portland is burning, the city is burning.
Right.
It was because he saw 4-year-old videos that they were replaying on Fox News. And not only does he keep running, when he keeps saying that Portland's burning, but the media just doesn't like, they don't say like, okay, this guy doesn't know that he's looking at videos from 4 years ago. Like he's like, your great grandpa knows better than this. And
not grandpa, great grandpa.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah.
No, and nothing against great grandpas,
we love them.
Yeah, but like, I mean, look, I'm not a spring chicken either, and sometimes I see somebody tweets a video and I'm like, oh shit, and then they're like, oh no, that was like last week. So I get it, but like, it's been 2 weeks and he's still saying this, and the media is just like, so they don't even mention it. Like, that's the craziest part of this to me. I mean, obviously, sending the troops and all that stuff, it's all that authoritarianism shit, but like, at a very basic level, it's just insane that the president either doesn't know that they're actually, he was looking at videos from 4 years ago and still doesn't know it 2 weeks later. Nobody told him, or they told him, he doesn't believe it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I add that to the list of things that makes you call into question his cognitive abilities at this point, whether he's in a state of cognitive decline.
Yeah,
Seems
well,
to me. Are we allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say? I mean, are we going to get banned for saying that? Shut down?
I know, right? I mean, I know, right? Should you be allowed to speak? Isn't that the shit that he said this week? That
he said something about freedom of speech. We got rid of freedom of speech.
We got rid of freedom of. That's another thing. Look, you know what?
And it flies right. It flies right past the media.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I wrote an article about it because, I saw that he said that, and I was like, why isn't this everywhere? And I did a search on on our media thing, and there was one solitary mention of it on CNN on Abby Phillips' show, which, by the way, Abby Phillips, a great show, and she does great work. Yeah, you have the clip here.
And here's Trump right here. I mean, he said crazy shit last week about the Democrats in front of
Can you
members of the Navy.
imagine if Joe Biden or any Democrat said we got rid of freedom of speech?
Yeah. Or how about just Joe Biden in a giant red hat with giant white letters on them with ridiculous orange makeup?
Yeah.
If Joe Biden were doing that and stumbling and getting stuff wrong, Fox News would have a heart attack. They would their heads would pop off.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna not defend Fox News, but I don't really care that much what Fox News does. What bothers me is when people who are supposed to know the difference don't. Right. Yeah. I don't want to name any names here, but there's a certain person who obsessed over every fucking stumble that Joe Biden did and wrote a fucking book about it. And I was like, I know he was on his book tour this week, and he said something like, he was talking about Trump's fumbles, and he said that's an entirely different wing of the hospital, and but I don't see him obsessing over it on CNN, where that's where it matters. They're supposed to be, the down the middle. Here's the news, and you don't hear about it enough.
And what about what are your thoughts on the Barry Weiss situation over at CBS? Apparently, she put out a memo today to the staff. I don't know if you saw this, saying it was basically asking staff members to tell us what have you done. And
I saw the headline.
Like Elon Musk and Doge.
Yeah, that Doge shit.
They were asking federal workers that. I mean, this is getting weird over there.
Right. Like, how there's the Jurassic era and the Cretaceous period. This is the asshole-ish period. This is like assholes have taken over everything.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna plead not guilty to being an asshole. Okay.
Yeah,
and so
me neither. Yeah.
There's a place for assholes. Okay. But like literally everything now is just run by that's the main thing. They're just complete fucking assholes. Like usually like assholishness is like a means to an end. No,
right.
The assholishness is the point. Yeah. And so who are we talking about? Barry Weiss? Well, yeah. So so of course her first move is going to be, what's your fucking job?
Yeah. No, it's true. And
but they're going to pay. Listen, CBS is going to pay a price, just like Disney paid a price. They paid a price fucking quick.
They did.
I think CBS is. I mean, look, CBS was always the Tiffany network for old people who like want to watch Matlock and Survivor. Yes, that's me. Not Matlock, but Survivor. I do watch Survivor. CBS was never the young people's network, but like, look, there's a lot of old hippies now, man. I'm old.
Yeah.
And so they will. I think they will pay a price if they, I mean, she can't help but ruin everything over there. But I think they will pay a price and they'll regret it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are some networks that exist for people who don't want to get up and pick up the remote control, but I won't go. Let's not go down that road.
You used to work at CBS, didn't you?
I did. I worked at CBS a long time ago. I worked there when Dan Rather was there. That's how old my ass is.
Right.
And Bob Schieffer came in after Dan left. And I will tell you, Tommy, this has been painful for me to watch the last few weeks. And, to me, Barry Weiss coming in, it just sort of typifies this moment that we're in right now, where these giant corporations are taking over some very important institutions, and they're just going to just hand them off to the far right. And I mean, I just like CBS News. Are you really going to screw with 60 Minutes? Barry Weiss, are you really going to screw with 60 Minutes? Are you really going to do that?
I mean, listen, not to beat a dead horse, but like I think that this is the adage, the squeakiest fucking asshole wheel gets the grease. That's what, everybody think, because they make so much noise about how, like the Joe Rogans and like everybody, and how, all this stuff swung the election. So that now apparently like these people are like hot now, and they're going to find out. They're going to find out just how small,
I think it's good business to have assholes running things, basically.
I mean, I guess, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
No, and Tommy, you and I were texting back and forth. You may have a big interview coming up. Can we talk about that yet, or is it not fully? Should we not go there? Or should you just analyze people with the prospect that you have a big interview coming up?
No, I do. I do want to announce. That's the main reason because I'm tired as hell, man. I had such a week, but I wanted to come on here because you've got, Jim's got like the I don't know, like the second biggest following on Substack or something.
I don't know. Right? I don't. May not be that good, but it's not bad. It's okay.
And he's my pal. And so yeah, I wanted you to be the first to hear. He was the first to hear that I've been working on this for a while. But on Monday the 20th, I will be interviewing the son of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., and that would be our Hunter Biden. Is going to be my exclusive interview guest. Unfortunately for, it's for the live stream will be for paying subscribers only. And then the full interview I will put out about a week later. The main reason for that is that I just want to be able to control how the content gets used. If just anybody can watch and clip it, then, you're going to have like, I don't want to name names again, but you'll have people clipping things out of context and,
Yeah. Well, you need to come back on after you do the interview.
So
we can play some of the clips and talk about it, because I'm sure he's got some choice words on a lot of different subjects.
Yes. Yeah. Well, here, and let me just say this, because we've talked a fair bit on the phone, and first of all, that interview he did, that 3-hour interview he did with that guy Andrew Callahan, that was really like, that's kind of just who he is. He just is who he is, and I found it, I just thought he was such an effective messenger for his dad and for Democratic priorities and against Trump. And so I really can't wait to talk to him. And it's really great because I thought, because he did that interview, I was like, oh, well, he must be doing a tour or something. And no, he's not. He hasn't been doing any interviews. And so this will be a really rare opportunity to hear from him. And, I'm really looking forward to it. I appreciate you letting me announce it to your viewers. And well, Jim, you are one of my few paying subscribers, so you will be able to watch it live, and then we can have like a post.
Well, if there are folks out there who want to join Tommy's posse, you go ahead and sign up, be a paid subscriber, or just subscribe. I always say that helps too. Anybody.
Yeah, look,
I try to make it.
I try to put my videos out like a week later, so that people can see them even if they didn't pay. But like, having the paywall, it helps me sort of control. And I just, I also want the people I'm interviewing to know, it's sort of a little layer of protection for them too.
Yeah.
But,
Tommy, best of luck on that. Can't wait to see it. Thanks for coming on as always, and may the force be with you.
Thanks, Jim. You too.
All right. See you, man. Happy Friday. Take care. Live long and prosper. One of the things that, in my thanks to Tommy, we'll be looking for that interview when it happens. One of the things that has been on my mind and I've been wanting to get into is to talk about the farmers, talk about what's been happening in the heartland. And a recent interview guest of mine suggested that I get in touch with Art Cullen. And let's bring him on the program right now. There's Art right there. He is the editor of the Storm Lake Times Pilot. And I have been to Storm Lake, Iowa. I used to cover a certain congressman out there who is quite controversial, Steve King. And that part of Iowa, to me, that's real America. That's real Iowa. But Art, you've made sort of a living out of kind of skewering some sacred cows in Iowa from time to time, including the agricultural industry. And you have been, and we can mention this, you've written a book about how the farming community has been dumping a lot of pollution, having very adverse effects. There it is right there. Dear Marty, we cracked in our nest. Notes from the edge of the world. Art, great to see you. Let's dive into these issues. How are things going out there, by the way?
Well, first, Jim, the most important news of the day is I think I've identified a cousin of yours from Sligo. His name would be Tom Snee from Iowa City.
Is that right? Oh, my
Yes.
goodness.
And I saw you the other night on public television exploring your roots in Ireland and Cuba. Very interesting, hot-headed combination there between Ireland and Cuba.
It's true. It's I call it the Cuban temper and the Irish grudge. But anyway, that's a different.
Only a 500-year grudge.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, Tom Snee, look him up, and he's a great guy. Went to school with him at the University of St. Thomas up in Minnesota.
How about that? Yeah, no, it's true, Art. I did Finding Your Roots on PBS, and they traced my Irish roots back, which I never knew about, to Sligo County in Ireland, where there are a lot of Snees. And my mom used to talk about her great-grandmother, I think, Anne Marie Snee in New York, in the Bronx. And so that's where some of my Irish roots come from. So
he thinks he's probably related to you.
I bet we are. Yeah. And so
what were we talking about again?
We were talking about Iowa and the farmers, and how pissed are the farmers these days?
Yeah, it's very difficult to tell. They're in the throes of harvest right now.
Yeah.
And I think they're fairly comfortable with the fact that they know they're going to get a big bailout from the Trump administration. The Ag Secretary, Brooke Rollins, said when she at her confirmation hearings that her job number one was to engineer bailouts because she knew the tariffs were going to be very damaging to ag export markets. And in fact, they have been. So it's unclear to me what the mood of the actual farmers are. However, they only comprise, maybe no more than 5% of the vote, even in rural Iowa. But
because it's such a big corporate production these days, big business, ag business.
Right. There are very few people who actually are riding in a tractor these days. And but they hold an outsized influence on Midwestern politics, definitely. Iowa, Kansas, Illinois, Indiana. And there's a lot of unease in rural communities over declining prospects that have it's been going this way since Ronald Reagan was president. And we've seen depopulation. The family farm died probably around 1998 when they eliminated the independent pork producer. And so there's a lot of anger out on the rural routes. And they give Trump a break because he continues to come up with these bailouts for him, and he will again.
Yeah. And Art, you have put forward the theory, and I think it's a very good one, that this is where a lot of MAGA's energy comes from in the heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is where it started. This is where the MAGA revolution started, when they attacked the Michigan state capitals and the Minnesotas as a run-up to the January 6th insurrection. They tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan, and they tried to occupy the Minnesota Capitol. And one of the first people through in Washington was a guy from Ankeny, Iowa. And there's a lot of pent-up anger here, irrational, but well-founded. I know that sounds goofy, but they really have gotten a good hard screwing from Wall Street over the years, whether it's, Tyson, Cargill, the Kochs,
And how so? What do you mean by that for the folks who, for those East Coast types who don't understand that? What do you mean by that?
Well, they get all the money and we get all the hog shit. That's how it works. Tyson gets the money, we get the hog shit. About 40% of Iowa's hogs are owned by a subsidiary of China Incorporated, Smithfield Foods. And farmers all know this. They know that the chemical companies are running their lives. And if you don't farm according to the prescription of Bayer and Koch and use anhydrous fertilizer on top of chicken manure, on top of hog manure to get those 200 bushels of corn per acre, you're going to be out of business. And so you farm their way or the highway. And that's where the resentment starts. And it starts with, they've just bulldozed the main street of Pomeroy, Iowa, a town of about 700 people. They just bulldozed all the buildings because there's no use for them and they're going to fall down.
Wow.
And people see this happening around them. We did a school just closed 12 miles south of me, Early, Iowa. And people see that, and there's a real loss that turns to anger. We've been going through the stages of grief here for 50 years.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting that you bring this up because I've detected this during my trips to cover the campaigns and whatnot in Iowa, because there's this perception that Iowa nice and field of dreams, and if you build it, they will come, and everybody's so nice in Iowa. But there are people who are not nice. I mean, just like anywhere
including
else.
Our governor.
And I was just about to ask you that. You wrote about and you've talked about how the current governor of Iowa is very different than the legendary Terry Branstad, who is people, you might not like his politics and so on, but just a really nice grandfatherly type of guy. I think he got mad at me one time when we did an interview, but I still think he's a nice guy.
He was basically honest and straightforward.
Yeah. But stylistically, very different than Kim Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. She had to get down to the Mexican border to show the Texas Rangers how you patrol the border. She sent the Iowa State Patrol down there to show the Texas Rangers how it's done. And, there's no bailouts for the Mexicans working in the meatpacking plants. There's bailouts for the farmers who are farming 1,000 acres with $500,000 tractors, combines. But there's no bailout for the guy cutting the pork chop in the meatpacking plant. They're living in abject fear of being deported. And Kim Reynolds celebrates it. And it goes back to the pandemic when the governors of Iowa, Nebraska, that would be Pete Ricketts, and South Dakota, that would be Kristi Noem, the dog hunter. Yeah. And they got together and said, we have to keep these meatpacking plants open. Otherwise, food prices will go up.
Yep.
And so they forced these people, many of them, most of them immigrants, forced them into these meatpacking plants without any vaccines, any protective gear, nothing. And I don't know, I can't remember how many of them died in Storm Lake by being forced into those conditions under the Defense Authorization Act, which Trump signed. And now he's saying he'll deport them. They kept meat prices in check during the pandemic. Now he says he's going to deport them. And of course, he hasn't attacked Tyson yet, which has a huge pork and a turkey processing facility in my town, Storm Lake, where about 3,000 immigrants work. And he hasn't touched them yet, because if he did, meat prices would shoot up 50% in a week. And there would be trouble on the streets of Chicago.
Yeah. Well, and they're perfectly happy to scoop up people off the streets of Chicago, but they are very worried about, and they're very leery of pissing off a lot of these corporate interests in places like you're talking about there in Iowa. And I was just kind of curious. I didn't read whether or not you had any comments on this. So I'm just throwing this out there, kind of a spitballing thing. But Joni Ernst recently announced she's not going to run for re-election.
Correct.
And was it basically because she said that crazy thing about we're all going to die or something like that? Or was she just not looking good in general? And there are some Democrats who might be able to pull this off. I talked to one of them recently, Josh Turek.
Yeah. It's hard to know why Joni Ernst pulled out. She probably would win re-election. It's very, very difficult to upset an incumbent in Iowa, especially a Republican. And I think she, she likes a man in uniform, and I think she wants to be a lobbyist and make a big pile of money and have some fun in Washington without the pressure of being a U.S. senator and have to put up with Trump's crap. And I think that's really what's going on. And as you said, it does present an opening. And in the governor's race as well, Kim Reynolds is not running for re-election. And they have a real shot there with a guy by the name of Rob Sand, who's the state auditor.
Rob Sand, right.
He's the only statewide elected Democrat. And that could really change the calculus here in Iowa. He has $10 million because he's married into a very wealthy family.
That doesn't hurt.
Yeah. And in that Senate race, there's a very impressive array of Democrats running. Josh Turek, who is wheelchair bound, but is determined to win that race. And he has he was encouraged, I think, by former Senator Tom Harkin. And then there's Zach Walz, who's a popular legislator, and Jackie Norris, who was Barack Obama's Iowa campaign manager, won his first Iowa campaign. But she's been caught up in a controversy recently involving the Des Moines school superintendent.
Yeah.
He's the president of the Des Moines School Board. And he was arrested for
I saw that. Yeah.
Immigration violations. He's a native of Guyana. He's black, had a gun with him. So it looks very, very bad for Jackie Norris.
Yeah, that was stunning to see that happen, that arrest take place. And when you mentioned Barack Obama, it reminds me, I mean, I covered the 2008 campaign, and I remember that battle between Obama and Hillary Clinton, and Obama winning the caucuses in Iowa. That is one of the more stunning things that has happened in politics in a very long time. It gave him the launch pad to win the presidency. Can Democrats retake Iowa? Is that something that could happen? I mean, I remember there was this whole controversy over the Des Moines Register poll, and Trump wanted to go after, I think he wanted to deport the nice lady at the Des Moines Register.
He sued her.
He sued her, yeah. And I mean, that was just awful. But I do wonder, do Democrats have a chance in these upcoming presidential cycles, or is it just too far gone?
They do have a chance if they'd show up. And,
yeah.
And quit disrespecting us. I mean, Joe Biden did his level best to disrespect Iowa. And when you've got a problem with rural voters, the first thing you do, of course, is dump the Iowa caucuses. Yeah. That was the last method that they had to communicate with rural voters early in the cycle. And they blew it. They've got to show up. And they've got to show up in Western Iowa, where I live, which is very deeply Republican, very deeply red, because they've got to lift those margins. They've got to narrow those margins by about 10% in Western Iowa in order to win statewide. But they just don't show up because there are so few Democrats here. And also, there's very little support from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee or the Senate campaign committees. To help win. To win Iowa, you need state elected Democratic officials. And there aren't any except for Rob Sand.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, Iowa's very much a place where you have to hit the ground. I covered Rick Santorum's campaign in 2012, and he won the caucuses, I think, by a whisker. It was sort of back and forth between him and Romney. But Santorum went to every county in the state of Iowa. He made a point of doing that. And I think he did it before anybody else did. And it helped his campaign. And there's something about retail politics still works in this country.
It worked for Jimmy Carter, worked for Barack Obama, worked for Rick Santorum, and it worked for Donald Trump with his airport rallies. But Democrats thought that I was too racist. Well, we elected Barack Obama twice.
Yep.
But of course, he wasn't black enough.
Yeah.
And that we're too liberal, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where they come up with that idea that we're too liberal. And they just don't want to come here in cold weather and do that hard work. They would rather buy TV ads and Facebook ads. It's a lot easier than going to Storm Lake, Iowa in January.
Yeah. I've stood on those bridges in Des Moines in January. It is very cold, and there aren't enough layers you can put on, not for a Cuban Irish guy like me, to stay warm.
I'd rather be in those hurricanes in Miami.
I think so. But you'd rather go out and be in the cold in Iowa than be in the political wilderness, which is where the Democrats are right now. But Art, great conversation. Really enjoy your work, and I'm so glad it was Beto O'Rourke, who I should mention. So
Beto.
you got to talk to Art. And there's the book right there. Hold it up one more time so folks get a look at it. I love the title. Talk about not shitting where you eat. Art's got the title. We crapped in our nest, and that is basically it.
The point of the book is
Yeah.
that we set out to conquer the people we found here. That would be the Iowa Indian tribe. And then we stole all their land, and we have made a mess of it. And that's the point of the book. We made a mess of our food production system, which promoted a civic rot.
Yeah.
And it's in full bloom right now.
It is in
more
ways than one.
salvage it. We can salvage democracy if we stick together. Stick with Jim Acosta.
Yeah, and stick with Art, and don't forget the Heartland. Don't forget it. Absolutely.
By the way, I just saw footage today of ICE agents tackling WGN News.
I saw that. Yes, unreal. It's totally out of control.
We're there.
Yeah, we are there. We are. Art, thank you for standing at your post. We appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
I appreciate you.
All right. Take care. Thanks a lot, Art. Thanks so much. And yes, and Art is absolutely right. If you haven't seen the news, there's a reporter for WGN TV in Chicago, one of the big stations there, who was tackled by ICE as she was trying to cover the situation there in Chicago. And it just goes to show you just how out of control ICE is, how out of control the Trump administration is, how out of control Stephen Miller is right now. And I have shown these abusive videos time and again. I'll continue to show them on this program, but I wanted to make a point today of showing a video of all of this being mocked, of all of this ridiculous hatred and insanity being mocked. And I don't think it's a laughing matter, but I do think from time to time we have to lighten the mood and point the finger and laugh at the insanity of all of this. I want to show a video of one guy who was outside of a detention facility in Chicago and in the Chicago suburbs. Let's play that. And
around me,
not
ICE agents hate all races except white faces. Bright and early to catch brown people. No expression, just regression. The tear gas going up their asses.
He doesn't like that.
No expression. And I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad that ICE makes more money than all our veterans. MAGA world.
MAGA world indeed. MAGA world indeed. Listen, it's tough out there right now, but I think to some extent we need to make sure people understand the reality of the situation. And like the people dressed in the funny costumes in Portland, to show that again, just the outrageousness of Trump and his cronies and his acolytes and his aides trying to make it sound like that Portland, Oregon is some kind of a war zone. And so kudos,
Hi.
not this, they're right
We're
here.
outside the
So
ICE
kudos to some of
facility in
these
the
good citizens dressed up like frogs. I don't know. I think they're there to show moral support to another guy who started showing up in the frog costume. I think that's what it is. And so there's the sign right there, frogs together strong. But you know, and there's the unicorn, and I think that's a peacock and a baby shark and a polar bear. And there's a panda bear. Love the panda bear, of course. And you know, to some extent, yes, we have to protest this stuff. We have to stand up to tyranny. We have to stand up to these inhumane tactics. But every once in a while, we need to poke fun at it too. We need to mock it. We need to show them that they haven't taken away our ability to laugh, our ability to have joy, our ability to express ourselves, show our freedom of expression in all sorts of ways. And, you know, maybe the guy in Chicago is not your cup of tea singing. And I think it was a Barney outfit or a dinosaur outfit. I'm not sure what that was. But the absurdity of the situation right now, the absolute absurdity of the situation needs to be pointed out, in addition to the inhumanity. And so kudos to some of the folks who are showing up out there. There's no, listen, what would be the justification to tackle and arrest this man for being obnoxious, for singing off key? I suppose that, let's not give them any ideas, but good for that guy right there. And good for the folks out in Portland to say to the folks at ICE, you guys are a joke. You guys are a joke, what you're doing right now, the way you're treating people in this moment. And I'll continue to show the other videos too, the other videos of the tear gas in the neighborhoods and the tackling of the migrants and tackling of U.S. citizens. The nice lady who was picking up her kid in Chicago the other day, we showed that video. It turns out she was a DACA recipient. She had legal status. They had to let her go. So we're going to continue to report on all these things and shine a light on it, hold it up to the light of day. And sometimes you have to do that with humor as well. That this lady right here, it turns out she was pulled out of her car as she was picking up her kids the other day. There she is right there. Turns out she was a DACA recipient. She had DACA protection. And it just goes to show you what's happening right now, folks. They are just grabbing brown-skinned people who look Hispanic, people who are Latino, people who have Spanish last names, Hispanic last names like mine. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening in America in October of 2025. And we have to find our ways to speak out against it. I do it on my podcast. I do it on this program. Other protesters are showing up outside these facilities. And maybe we'll get out to some of these facilities to take a look and see what's going on. But it's on all of us. And I think that was a message that we heard from some of our guests today. It's on all of us. We can't take this lying down. We have to stand together. We have to stand together as a people, as one people, against this. This is tyranny, folks. What you're looking at, what you are seeing as you're scrolling through your Instagram and TikTok feeds and seeing these videos pop up, you're looking at straight up tyranny, folks. And it is shameful, and it needs to be denounced. And people are going to express themselves in all kinds of ways. And Donald Trump earlier this week made some cockamamie comment about how he's ended freedom of speech in America. The hell with that. It's very much alive and well on this Friday at the end of this week. I want to thank Adam Kinzinger. Want to thank Tommy Christopher. Want to thank Art Cullen. I'm so glad we've gotten that perspective out from the heartland. I've been meaning to do that. It's been on my mind. So just so glad to have been able to do that as well. And thanks to all of you for watching week after week. I don't do this enough, but please, if you like the program, hit a like button. If you want to subscribe to the program, hit a subscribe button. Even if it doesn't cost you any money, I understand everybody's subscribing to lots of different things these days, but it means a difference. It makes a difference, and it means a lot to me when folks show that kind of support. It helps support the work of this program and all that we do. Earlier this week, we had a live program where we covered the arraignment of James Comey at the courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. We put some resources into that and had some great people involved, people like Olivia Troy and Miles Taylor and Glenn Kirshner. And so when you support this program, when you subscribe, when you follow, when you like, you are helping us continue to do that, continue to shine a light on injustice in America, shine a light on attacks and assaults on democracy in America. We're going to continue to do that on this program. And just want to thank you all again for that kind of support. Really appreciate it. In the meantime, still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.